The Golden State Warriors have been busy this offseason, making a series of moves that will define the direction of the franchise heading into the new NBA season. With 12 of their standard roster spots now filled after re-signing Draymond Green, the front office has essentially wrapped up the most important chapters of free agency. Only 2 or 3 spots remain, and those will likely be filled with veteran minimum contracts in the coming weeks. Now is the right time to grade every move the team made, from the smartest decisions to the ones that could come back to haunt them. Hey, what's up everyone? Before we jump into everything today, that like button right there is what decides if this video hits hundreds or thousands of people. 1 second is all it takes, but the impact on this channel is massive. Go ahead and hit that like button right now. Seriously, it's the simplest thing you can do, and honestly, the best way to back this content up because every single like pushes this further. So hit it now. Starting with the best, drafting Axel Lendeborg stands out as the clear highlight of Golden State's offseason. At 23 years old, some critics questioned whether selecting an older prospect in the lottery made sense, especially without a blockbuster trade to push the team into win-now mode. But the Warriors saw something in Lendeborg that others missed. He was the highest-rated player still available on the team's internal big board when his name was called, and he quickly justified that evaluation. Lendeborg went on to win Summer League MVP and was also named MVP of the Summer League Championship game, a remarkable double achievement for a first-year player. What makes him especially promising is his playmaking instinct, which is unusually advanced for a big man who only recently expanded his game to the perimeter. If he develops into a reliable on-ball creator at the NBA level, he could be worth far more than a typical lottery pick. The second best move was keeping DeAnthony Melton on the roster. Melton struggled significantly from three-point range last season, but his overall impact on the floor remained consistently impressive. His defensive energy and ability to disrupt opponents never wavered, even when his shooting touch abandoned him. Because of that shooting slump, the Warriors were able to lock him up for just $5.4 million, a real bargain for a player of his caliber. Re-signing Charles Bassey also deserves credit. On a partially guaranteed veteran minimum deal, Bassey represents the best realistic center option the Warriors could have landed given their salary constraints. It was a smart, low-risk addition. The re-signing of Kristaps Porzingis generated more debate. Golden State gave him a deal worth the $20 million in the first year, with a $3 million partial guarantee in the second. One could argue the team had no real competition for his services and may have been bidding against itself. But Porzingis is a legitimately talented player, and slightly overpaying for him is acceptable as long as he stays healthy. That has been the persistent issue. Over the past 2 seasons, Porzingis has missed significant time due to injury, and the Warriors will need him on the court to get full value from that contract. Bringing back Al Horford on a 2-year deal at $6.8 million per year is largely a positive move, even with the caveat that he is now 40 years old. His camp negotiated a second-year player option, which benefits Horford more than the team, but his veteran leadership and basketball intelligence still add real value to the roster. The Draymond Green re-signing is the most complicated entry on this list. From a pure value standpoint, giving Green $27.7 million for 1 year is hard to justify. At this stage of his career, his on-court production does not warrant that salary. However, the context matters. Green had declined his player option of the same amount to give the Warriors financial flexibility during the LeBron James pursuit. The team essentially owed him the money back once that pursuit ended without a result. And since all the mid-level exception targets were already gone by the time Green officially became a free agent again, his large salary was not blocking any other potential signing. The decision to let Quinton Post walk looks worse in hindsight. The Warriors declined to match his 3-year, $30 million offer sheet, partly to preserve space for LeBron James. But James ended up signing with the Philadelphia 76ers for the veteran minimum, making Post's contract irrelevant to Golden State's cap situation. Knowing what is known now, keeping Post would have been the smarter call. The worst outcome of the entire offseason, however, was not what the Warriors did. It was what they failed to do. When Draymond opted out of his contract, the team gained a window of financial flexibility they had not had in years. That window could have been used to bring in a meaningful piece via the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. Instead, the front office sat and waited for LeBron James with no real backup plan. The flexibility came and went, and the Warriors ended up with no significant new talent to show for it. That passivity, more than anything else, is what will define this offseason as a missed opportunity for Golden State. New details have emerged explaining why the Golden State Warriors chose not to trade for either Anthony Davis or Jaylen Brown, 2 of the most coveted players who were available at different points this offseason and at the trade deadline. According to a report from The Ringer's Logan Murdoch, the Warriors did have genuine interest in both players but ultimately decided to hold on to their draft assets instead of pulling the trigger on either deal. The reasoning behind each decision reveals a great deal about how the Warriors front office thinks about the team's future and raises serious questions about whether they made the right call. On Anthony Davis, Murdoch reported that a portion of the Warriors' front office staff was actively pushing for a trade during the Summer League in Las Vegas. The internal support for the move was real, and there were people inside the organization who believed adding Davis was the right path forward for a team looking to remain competitive around Stephen Curry. However, the broader front office leadership was ultimately not convinced. Two factors proved decisive: Davis's well-documented history of injuries and his desire for a new long-term contract extension. Both concerns together were enough to persuade team management to back away. The injury risk alone would have been manageable for many teams, but when paired with the cost of a significant extension, the package felt too expensive in terms of both roster capital and future financial commitments. The Jaylen Brown situation developed differently, unfolding primarily around the February trade deadline rather than in the summer. Murdoch's reporting indicates that the Warriors could not reach what he described as organizational consensus, that Brown was the right player to carry the franchise into the post-Stephen Curry era. This is a crucial distinction. The question was not simply whether Brown could help the team win games now. It was whether he was the kind of star worth building around for the next decade. Enough people within the organization had doubts that the deal never came together. ESPN's Shams Charania reported that the Warriors could have acquired Brown for approximately 4 first-round picks. An analysis published around the trade deadline concluded that a package of 4 unprotected first-round picks plus a salary-matching player for Brown would be a high-risk move. But it also noted that failing to make any major trade at all carries its own significant cost. And that is really the core tension hanging over this Warriors offseason. Passing on Davis and Brown individually can be defended. Davis's injury concerns and contract demands are legitimate red flags. The doubts about Brown as a long-term cornerstone are understandable, if debatable, but the collective result of passing on both deals, and the LeBron James pursuit also failing, is that Golden State enters the new season without any significant new star-level talent. The team's roster has been patched and maintained, but it has not been meaningfully upgraded. The longer-term implications are what concern analysts most. It has been widely noted that the Warriors chose to protect their draft capital. They currently hold their next 7 first-round picks, and that asset base gives them real flexibility in future negotiations. The theory appears to be that the team will use this stock of picks to attract a major star in 2027 free agency, or to make a significant trade at that time. Names like Nikola Jokic, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Brandon Ingram have all been floated as potential 2027 targets. The problem with that plan is straightforward: stars choose destinations based on what they find when they get there. If a 39-year-old Stephen Curry is the only established talent already in place, the Warriors may struggle to close the deal with top-tier free agents. Front offices across the league understand this dynamic. A more competitive roster in the interim would make Golden State a far more attractive landing spot for any big name considering their options in the summer of 2027. By refusing to trade picks now for a proven star, the Warriors are betting that their draft assets will be more valuable later. But that bet only pays off if the 2027 free agent class actually wants to come to a roster that still needs significant building around it. The clock is ticking, and the margin for error is shrinking with every season Stephen Curry gets older. What makes the situation more complicated is that the Warriors are not just competing with other NBA franchises for talent, they are also competing against their own legacy. The franchise built its dynasty on bold, unconventional decisions, drafting Stephen Curry when others questioned his size, building a system around ball movement and three-point shooting before anyone else fully committed to it. The current front office, led by GM Mike Dunleavy Jr., now faces its own version of that challenge. Playing it safe and accumulating picks is a reasonable strategy, but it is not the kind of move that turns a franchise around when a generational talent is in the final years of his prime. The Warriors passed on 2 major stars this offseason and came away with nothing to replace them. That is the decision history will ultimately judge, and the verdict is still very much in the making. The Golden State Warriors have 3 roster spots remaining to fill, and the financial reality is clear: every one of those spots will have to be filled using veteran minimum contracts. With the team already deep into the luxury tax and having committed significant money to their core players this offseason, there is simply no room for anything more expensive. That constraint makes the search for talent harder, but it does not make it impossible. The key is finding players who are being undervalued by the market, and specifically players with upside that has not yet been fully unlocked. This piece focuses on 4 candidates who are all under 27 years old. The emphasis on youth is deliberate, with the Warriors likely building toward a major move in the 2027 offseason. Adding younger players now who still have room to grow makes more sense than adding veterans who are already at or past their peak. Several well-known veteran minimum candidates, including DeMar DeRozan, Bradley Beal, and Russell Westbrook, remain available on the market. Those names carry more immediate scoring punch, but the Warriors' deeper need is for developmental pieces who can grow with the team over the next season or two. The first name on the list is Brandon Williams, a 26-year-old point guard who is a natural fit for Golden State's system. Williams enjoyed the best season of his career in 2025-26, averaging 13 points and 3.9 assists per game for the Dallas Mavericks. On most other rosters around the league, he would be competing for time as a third-string point guard at best. With the Warriors, however, he would have a genuine opportunity to establish himself as the primary backup at the position. That elevated role could help him take another step forward in his development. Reports have indicated that Golden State has already expressed interest in Williams, suggesting the fit is mutual. For a team that could use additional playmaking and scoring off the bench, he checks important boxes. The second target is Ochai Agbaji, a 26-year-old shooting guard and small forward who remains unsigned largely because of a disappointing shooting season. Agbaji made just 26.6% of his three-point attempts last year, which understandably scared teams away. But the broader context of his career tells a different story. The season before, while with the Toronto Raptors, Agbaji averaged 10.4 per game and shot an efficient 49.8% from the field and 39.9% from three. Solid numbers across 64 games with 45 starts. His track record from his college days at Kansas also supports the idea that the shooting slump was an anomaly rather than a new reality. A player who can get back to that prior level of efficiency would be an excellent addition at the veteran minimum. Third on the list is Graham Ike, a center who is just days away from his 24th birthday. Ike is technically a rookie coming out of Gonzaga, which makes him one of the more unusual cases in this free agent class. The most realistic scenario is that he ends up on a two-way contract rather than a standard deal, but his summer league performance this year showed that he might be worth more than that. Ike has exceptional touch around the basket, particularly with his push shot in the lane. Observers also noted more perimeter shooting potential than anticipated. If the Warriors decide they want a fourth center option on the standard roster alongside Charles Bassey and Kristaps Porzingis, Ike is the most appealing choice available to them at this price point. The fourth option is Dalen Terry, a 24-year-old wing who became available after the Philadelphia 76ers released him to clear cap room for their new additions. Terry stands 6'6" and brings athleticism and defensive instincts that fit the profile of what Golden State typically values in its wings. His defensive efficiency ranked in the 75th percentile league-wide last season according to advanced metrics, which is a genuine strength. He is not a reliable shooter. His three-point percentage has been a persistent concern, but he makes up for it with above-average passing and the ability to generate steals. Compared to other young options, Terry is a stronger passer and more disruptive defender than Agbaji, even if the shooting is less encouraging. For a Warriors roster that needs experienced wing depth behind the starters, Terry offers a combination of size, athleticism, and defensive energy that is hard to find at the veteran minimum price. Together, these four players represent the best realistic options for Golden State to add meaningful youth and potential to the final slots on their roster. None of them are stars, but at this stage of their offseason, the Warriors are not shopping for stars. They are looking for pieces that fit, develop, and contribute. And all four names on this list have a legitimate case to do exactly that.